As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I took Saturday off. It was lovely. We did a short live yesterday, and then we had a meeting of the minds for the candlelight vigil with the volunteers. Very nice people, I got to say. Very nice people. It was our first meeting together. And I got to say, most everything for June 15th is covered. Almost everything. You know what we could use help on, though, is we're still looking for a projector. We've got a projector screen. So if anybody's coming to the vigil and has a projector, please reach out to me by email at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I hope you guys are just doing lovely. Manic Monday, right? Manic Monday. I think everybody, for whatever reason, is tired this morning, and I don't know why. I went to bed early last night, like super, super early. I think I was in bed by like 8 o'clock. It was as soon as our meeting was over, I went and retired. I went and retired. Good morning, all. Good morning. So, good morning, Karen, Connie, Patty Ponytail. I am Team Summer. We love you. Swiss Miss, it's nice to see you here this morning. Who else we got? Amber, nice to see you. Anissa. Pebbles, it's nice to see you here this morning. Cool Gamer, hi. Joanne, Crypt Keeper Haunts. I love that. Northern Light, nice to see you. Let's see. Brenda, the Alberta Queen. Nice to see you from Canada. Hope 2019. Mike, Suzette, it's good to see you. Mama Bear at 10. We need more Mama Bears of 10 in the world. We need more of them. Betsy, Cindy, Christine, Lulu. Hey, 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 hey. Of course, it just jumped up on me. I think I got everybody else. Nancy B. Vicky, Tennessee Girl, CR. Tina, which is going to give us lessons on how we can change our font. Oh, gosh. Miss Robin. Am I saying her name wrong? Oh, good morning, all. Good morning. So I hope everybody, again, had a great weekend. It's nice to see you guys all here this morning. If you guys have not already gone out and liked this video, please do. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to go over related to dogs. Guys, I got to say, this is mind-blowing. It really is. I am covering, we're going to touch base on a few of these dogs, but I didn't realize how many specialized dog training there is. Good morning, Louise from Long Island. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And so, I got some articles here we're going to read through, get educated on these dogs, and find out which dogs were utilized for summer wells. And, because what I was thinking before we get started, we're going to be also reading The Language of Letting Go this morning. I love the messaging, so we're going to go ahead and start off with that. But related to the dogs, what made me decide that this was a great topic is because we keep hearing about these dogs that followed some path and went to the road and the path just stopped. And it made me wonder because, I was going back through videos. I probably should have clipped that video that we did with law enforcement back in December of 2021. And I was asking them, I guess my question to them, and it had a lot to do. Hi, Jackie. It's nice to see you. Crimes in Fashion. Nice to see you as well. And it had a lot to do with back then, people were asking about the cemeteries. And my question to law enforcement at that time was, can a, say, cadaver dog find or scent somebody in, say, a cemetery where there are, multiple people that have met their demise and they're resting there? And they didn't want to get into too many details about the types of dogs that were used, where they searched, or what they searched. And I always went back to where everybody says the search dogs went down that path. And I'm thinking, okay, well, which type of dog followed that path? We don't know. And there are several types of dogs and several types of training. Now, I do know that it depends on the dog and depends on the dog's training as to how effective they are. And just because they're effective in, one case doesn't mean they're going to be the most effective in another case. Are they a tool that law enforcement utilizes? Yes. Do they make mistakes? Do they not pick up on some sense? Do they pick up on wrong sense? Believe it or not, they do. So I thought it would be, a great live to kind of go over these dogs and what types of dogs are they and what do they do. Many of us know, but we don't know. We don't know really anything about these dogs. We know that they're certified. We know that they're trained. But we don't even know what, when we hear, canines are out there, we're thinking they're searching. I'm telling you, there are lots of different types of training dogs. And this is only 6 that we're covering, 3 that we're only going to briefly cover. And there's more than this. I mean, if you want to look into it, I mean, there's stuff for wartime dogs. There's all kinds of different trained dogs, just, even bomb dogs. There's just a lot of different types of dogs. So anyways, going to this morning, and it's letting go of tension. That's what's on for June 6th. June 6th, letting go of tension. So we're just going to go through here. I love this book. If you guys are new to the show, we do a lot out of here. It's The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie. In Find Your Own Inner Power, author Emmett Fox used the metaphor of trying to force a key into a lock to unlock the door. When we're tense and afraid, Fox explained, we fumble. Sometimes the very key that is the right key doesn't work because we're trying to force it, because we're so tense and uptight. Relax, see? The less control and force you use, the better. Maybe the key you've been trying to use all along is the right one. Maybe it was your fear and panic that was keeping you from unlocking the door. Maybe you were trying to force it after all. See how easily and naturally things work out when you just simply relax and let go? You will tap into your true power and the power of the universe when you move, love, work, and play from a place of relaxed and calm inner peace. Move from your center. Let things work out. God help me stay serene, confident, and joyful as I go through my day. I thought that was a pretty message. I really did. And so I wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys this morning before we got started. So one of the first things that I think we're going to discuss is we're going to go back to the TBI newsroom and we're going to look at, what they said. I know we've been covering this because, as I've said, we keep going back and forth, going because things have slowed down. We're now going kind of back to the case. We're reviewing all different information that we may not have seen before. And like I said, I've seen a lot of different videos and interviews and articles that I missed the first go round. Yes, Crept Keeper, it does. It's a beautiful message. I think it's wonderful. Oh, good morning, Sonia. Rory, it's nice to see you. Did I miss some people? Yeah. There's all kinds of dogs and dogs training. It really is. And it was mind blowing, because I think we all hear about, I think we've got an idea of what sense specific dogs. Did you know that there's different types of sense specific dogs as well? And they're categorized differently. And we're going to go over that. And I didn't realize that either. And we knew that there were sense specific dogs and cadaver dogs, but which one? And we know that they were utilized. We did get the law enforcement to confirm that both sense specific and cadavers were used in this case. We did get that. But other than that, that was the extent of the information that law enforcement provided us when we were down there in December. They never even told me whether, I can't recall. I should say that. I may find out they did respond, but I don't even know if they confirmed whether they've searched the cemetery that's across the street from the Wells property. I can't recall. I have to go back and listen to that video, but I can't recall. And the Scott Peterson case, cadaver dogs failed 75% of the time. Wow. Oh, did they actually do statistics on that for his case, like as part of the trial? I'm curious. Yeah, because there is, they're utilized, but I think and the reason what made me think of this topic is because there was something that I was reading, and I think I touched on it yesterday, where I think it was Koffendorfer, that the retired FBI special agent with the FBI had a Twitter post or a tweet about the Texas inmate escapee, and we went over the statistics of how many people escaped from jail, which was alarming numbers. If you guys have not watched that, please go back and watch that, because it was pretty alarming. I was shocked at the numbers, and to think we only, literally a small fraction of the people that escape from jail. We only hear about a very, very, very small fraction. It was literally mind-blowing. Does that mean successful 25%? Success is still success. I don't think anybody is arguing with that, Dawn. I just think that, people, these tools, they almost, a lot of people's minds, I believe that they almost rely on them as 100% effective, if that makes sense. I don't think we're disputing that a success is a success. I really don't. I don't think that's the issue. I think knowledge is power. And it helps us when things like this happen, we understand, what does it mean? I think that's more in line with the messaging, more so than, unsuccessful, successful in relation to this live. So, yeah, I agree with you that, a success is a success. And if it wasn't for the dog, then that 25% wouldn't be successful. I get that. Oh, time for me to my TikTok's just going off this morning. Okay, there we go. So getting back, let's just get back on track. But anyways, the Coffindoffer, she was saying that, she was surprised that, with all the dogs, the air, the sonar, that they could not find this man in the woods. And it reminded her a lot of Brian Laundrie. And I started thinking, yeah, you're right. There was a lot of dogs. He was only 1,500 yards from where he parked his Mustang. 1,500 yards is where he met his demise. And they say that cadaver dogs, as well as scent-specific dogs, have a range of 2 miles. And they couldn't pick up on the gunpowder, because obviously he shot himself. They couldn't pick up on his smell or his remains. So it kind of got me into thinking, maybe we need to look into what type of dogs there are, because there were dogs used for summer wells. And so here we're at the TBI newsroom, and they're talking about the searches that they've done on the property and residence. And they go over, yes, once, more than once, they've searched the basement, crawl space, all vehicles, outbuildings, barrels, and other items located on the property. And then they go on, additionally, K9 teams specializing in a variety of search methods have also been utilized. And then that's what made me say, okay, well, how many types of search dogs are there? If this is done, are writing a letter to Don Wells. I don't know what you're saying. If this is the heels in the air, I don't understand what you're saying. So I don't understand the question. So that brought me over to what types of dogs are actually used. And here's 2 different scent-specific dogs. I didn't even know there was 2 different types of scent-specific dogs. So there's air scent and trail and tracking. So when I go to read all this, it does actually give you a nice brief breakdown. So air specific usually refers to dogs that use air scent techniques to search area. Air scent dogs work with their nose in the air, will ignore ground scent, and will follow and locate people by catching the hot scent of people on the wind. Air scent techniques are very effective for covering large areas quickly and can produce high probabilities of detection if conditions are good for air scenting. They don't need a last seen starting point. An article to work from or scent or a scent trail and time is not an issue. Some air scenting dogs are also trained to scent discriminate, meaning they can be pre-scented on an article from a missing person and can pick up that person from others in the search area. Air scent dogs usually work off lead. Most are trained to find the victim, alert the handler when the victim has been found, and return the handler to the victim. This is called refined. So this does not elaborate, though, of how long that scent can be in the air. There are some other things that we are going to go over here shortly, but for all intents and purposes, well, heels in the air. First of all, I don't understand why you're on my page talking about another person. I would suggest you go and ask him about that. That has nothing to do with me whatsoever. We're talking about dog training. Now, if you'd like to stay for dog training, please do so. Who cares? Fake heels. Okay, so it's a fake, it's a troll. Gotcha. Well, it's good to know. Trails and tracking. So trailing dogs are trained to follow specific human scent, which may or may not approximate the path the person took because of factors affecting the dispersal of scent, such as wind and temperature. So let's read that again. What does that mean? Trailing dogs are trained to follow a specific human scent, which may or may not approximate the path the person took because of factors affecting the dispersal of scent, such as wind and temperature. So basically, they can follow a scent, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the right scent or the right path that that person took, which is important, right? Because we heard that search dogs followed a scent down to, so that scent may not even have been there. That may not even have been the path that was taken, because the wind and temperature could have affected that scent. I think that's important, don't you? Exactly, little Dave. Thank you. So just to let you know, guys, if anybody's disrespectful in here, just go ahead and block them. I'm not dealing with it today. If they want to have a conversation about what we were talking about, they may. You know, this is an open forum, but if they're here just to antagonize me or the audience, just go ahead and block them. Thank you. I vote all have been held to get locked up until she's found. I know, but that's not fair, because I mean, in all fairness, there are great people that live in around there, you know, that had nothing whatsoever to do with this, nothing whatsoever. I want to know, at what point did cadaver dogs get on the property? I don't believe it was 6:15. That is a great question, Bertie. That is a very good question, because I don't know. But it sounds like if it was just scent dogs on that day, their olfactory abilities could have been affected by minor things that we don't take into consideration, such as the temperature, such as wind, such as, you know, a rainstorm. I don't even know what the conditions were in and around that day. I know that day was nice and bright, but could it have rained later? You know, could it have rained when the cadaver dogs got on the property? I mean, could there have been something? We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. At least the shady characters, yeah. But then that's up for determination. Who makes that determination? You know, I get it. I just wish they would be more clear on what dogs. But we do know that since specific dogs were on the property and cadaver dogs had been used, we don't know to what effect. We don't know how long they were on there. We don't know what area, and we don't know which dog picked up that scent that everybody is relying for, that went down that trail. And I think that is one of the reasons why law enforcement refuses to say that there's any evidence of an abduction, because there are so many things that could have affected the dogs and the dog's scent. I think they know that could have very well been an old scent. It could have very well, whatever scent that they used, it could have been an old scent, or it could have been a scent that actually moved because of the wind and the air, just normal stuff that goes on in our weather. Could have affected the specific dogs. So now the next ones are cadaver, which are HRD dogs, which are human remain detection, and disaster dogs. So the cadaver or HRD dogs are used to locate the remains of deceased victims. Cadaver dogs can locate entire bodies, including those buried or submerged, decomposed bodies, body fragments, including blood, tissue, hair, bone, or skeletal remains. The capabilities of the dogs is dependent upon the training. Listen to that again. The capabilities of the dog is dependent upon its training. So if these, they didn't do something right in the training, it could have long lasting effects on that dog for many years to come if it's not corrected. I've looked into this, and we're going to probably read through this in a different article, but the training, these dogs actually go into this type of training as soon as 12 weeks, but they actually consider older type dogs too. Now, when they're considering older type dogs, is that where some people may have some issues with the training? I don't know. It's interesting. And we're going to get what you guys think as well. I'm interested in your feedback as well. So then we have the disaster dogs. The disaster dogs work as a variation of air scent work. It combines the dog's ability to find a person with special training required to work in disaster conditions, including collapsed buildings, mudslides, earthquakes, and floods. The disaster-trained dog and handler spend a lot of time training control of the dog and directional control, so that the handler can send the dog into the rubble piles and perform close searches. Both the dog and the handler undergo extra training for searches on unstable and dangerous surfaces. FEMA has a national program for disaster-trained and certified dogs. So these are more FEMA dogs. This type of dog obviously would not have been involved in Summer Wells' case. The other two dogs, with the exception of one, would not be used in this case. Obviously, avalanche, they have snow out there, so I'm sure they have trained avalanche dogs, which victims that are caught in avalanche or even fall into a snow cave or tree well are nearly impossible to find by the naked eye. Avalanche dogs are trained to detect human scent, rising up from the snow and digging until they find the victim. Avalanche dogs cover more ground in less time than several human searchers can cover, which explains their importance. This dog, I'm sure they have dogs like this in Tennessee, not specifically used for Summer Wells' case. So that dog probably would not have been used. Water dogs. Water dogs are trained to pick up scent in the water and alert their handler when they find the scent. Similar to picking up a scent in snow, the scent rises to the surface in the water. Cadaver dogs are also trained as water dogs. So by having the cadaver dog, they already had a water dog out there at the scene. Cadaver dogs are also trained as water dogs and can be useful in drowning situations. So it appears to me that there are about three types of search dogs that would have been utilized for Summer Wells: the air scent, tracking, and trailing, as well as cadaver. Those are the three dogs that I believe that were used in the search of Summer Wells. And again, 75, according to Scott Peterson's trial, I guess they did a search or a study on how effective dogs are, and it sounds like they're 75% wrong. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that finding without looking at the study itself. But if that's what we have to work with, then obviously dogs are effective 25% of the time. I have to think that just in my personal opinion, I would have to think that the dogs are a little more effective than only 25%. I mean, granted, just like Don had indicated here, a success is a success, and I have to agree with that. I'd rather have 25% of success than 100% of no success. You know what I'm saying? So I do have to agree with that thing. What does it say? Sadly, they had a very difficult time getting summer exclusive scent, according to EquiSearch. Interesting. And I think that that's where I'm kind of at, because, you know, everybody on here knows my opinion of what happened. And my opinion is not sitting here and doing online research. My opinion was actually going out there on multiple trips and doing research and looking at areas, looking at maps, talking to people in and around the wells. And that's what made me formulate my opinion. Now, some of the opposition to my opinion is like, oh, well, they found this dog scent, and they found these footprints, and they found this shoe, and they found this and that. And I understand that. They act like I don't realize these things exist. I personally understand that. The problem I have is that law enforcement, these things, her going down the trail, her having footprints a quarter mile away, a shoe being found, those could indicate one of two things. They could indicate evidence of an abduction, or that she just merely wandered off. That's what those things could explain, right? But time and time again, law enforcement has come out, and even on this Amber Alert, or not Amber Alert, but this TBI newsroom, they have been adamant that there is no evidence of an abduction. So my question is if they don't believe that there's evidence of an abduction, then what did this dog scent, or i.e. dog path, mean? Right? That's the opposition. The dogs had a scent. It went down to the road. Footprints, shoes. Those would indicate something. But they're not looking at this case. If you watch their progression in this case from day one to when they stopped communicating with the public, you know, they followed this. They had press conferences every day for 10 days. After that, they did periodic searches. They did periodic updates. And then they did 3 days of searches in and around the Wells home. On March 1st, the sheriff, Ronnie Lawson, came out and told the world, finally, that the Wells are not cooperating and they have lawyered up. He was very specific. You didn't mince his words. It made you think, well, but if they had these dogs going down a trail, if they had these footprints on other people's properties, if they had these shoes being found, then why would the parents be concerned about not cooperating and lawyering up? And why would they not now come out to the public and say, yeah, there's some evidence that she could have wandered off, or that there's some evidence that there was an abduction at this residence? And they've been adamant, literally from, I want to say, what was it, 4 or 5 days after they started this, that there was no evidence. The Wells had been, beating this dead horse of this abduction theory, and law enforcement, even a year later, law enforcement is still telling us there's no evidence of an abduction with the footprints, with the shoes, with this trail. So I wanted to get some more information about these dogs and what they do and how they work. So that's a good point, because nothing, and we have to think about it. If in normal homes, the children have their own separate rooms. The children, they have their own rooms. They're in very limited circumstances do two people share rooms. I mean, I guess it depends. I've always had my own room since I was just a little girl. We've always had a 3-bedroom home. My sister had one room. I had another room. And, it would be very easy for somebody to go into my room, grab something for my scent, and hand it to a law enforcement agent. But this house, but my mom had a white glove clean house. I mean, there wasn't a stick of dust. I mean, even on the windowsills, it was insane. I find a lot of people from the 50s have homes like that, right? And over time, people get lazy, like me, right? I do not have a white glove clean home like my mom. I just don't. Maybe because my mom did everything for me when I was growing up. I don't know. I don't know. But in a house like that, where there's so many scents and we know so many different people stayed there, I think that really does go to what I Am Team Summer says. How do we know what she gave them to use for a scent? And how do we not know that there's not 4 or 5 different scents on there? And what if she did give them an article of clothing that said they had one of the brothers' scent on it? And one of the brothers, we know that the brothers went from the hill to the creek. What if it was their scent that the dogs picked up on? I guess that could be probable, perhaps. Yeah. And they go through a lot more training, from my understanding. Oh, thank you. Nice to see you, Guidance. Nice to see you. If anybody wants any information on the candlelight vigil, please, there's the Facebook group you can go to. I know. And they do get hurt. I mean, think of how exhausting those dogs, because you got to think that the law enforcement puts those dogs out there so they don't get hurt, because they're a little more agile, which is what I was saying, with those dog trails. Just because the dogs can get down those trails doesn't mean a grown person can. Doesn't mean a grown person can. This thing just popped up way too far. Not all dogs are created equally. Judy Ron has had EchoSearch dog guy on. He has 3 different kinds of dogs, and one is a little Chihuahua. He works great to take in the boat. He smells the water. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. It's possible. I mean, think about it. They did that huge search for Brian Laundrie, and he was laying out there. The only thing he was laying in a field. The only thing that covered him was like the tree branches were growing from a tall tree down at an angle, almost covering the ground in and around that area where Brian was found. They actually had to cut a few large branches out of the way so they could get the forensic equipment back there to process the scene. Good point, Jackie. So she says when dogs were finding bodies everywhere while looking for Gabby and Brian, it made me wonder, knowing dogs were probably used in searching for those people didn't find them. And that's a good point. But with Gabby's finding, did they use search dogs to actually locate her? Because Red, White, and Buffoon only found the area where Brian Laundrie's vehicle was last seen. And I can tell you where his vehicle was seen and where she was found. It was, over a bunch. I mean, this is Spread Creek. There's nothing but rocks on the ground. Literally nothing but rocks. There's like rocks as far as you can see out there. But where she was actually located, you had to go through 3 or 4 different types of streams. You could not get there without getting wet. And we had to go through a large mouth of that water because there was a grizzly bear 600 yards away from us. So we were kind of confined in the area that we could safely get over there to see where she was found. And I kept wondering, did dogs find her? How did they find her? Did they find her through, aviation? Did they find her through the use of drones? Or did they find her through, say, dogs, cadaver dogs? I don't know. I don't recall the specifics on how they actually located her, other than she was located in that area. I may have missed it because I was in front of Brian Laundrie's house, not really reading the paper, outside of listening to what their attorney was saying when he was responding to us for being out there. Oh, okay. So Cindy is clarifying. I guess it wasn't a study that was done for his case, his criminal case. This was actually specifically with the Scott Peterson case. The dogs that were used had failed 75% of the time in just the Peterson case. For those that, so thank you for clarifying that for us, Cindy. I appreciate that. I guess it's to build a case and evidence. Now, if you guys looked at JLR's page, he did something. I watched it, and I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day after, but he goes through the different kinds of grand juries. And in Florida, I don't know if it's necessarily in Tennessee, but in Florida, in order for them to arrest you for a capital case, a grand jury has to be impaneled, and they have to indict you for a capital case, a capital crime here in Florida. I don't know if it's the same way in Tennessee. And at this point, they need to build a case, in absentia. They don't have a body. So it's a little bit different. You got the building blocks are much, much different. Because it's a circumstantial case as opposed to having hard evidence. Now, do they have hard evidence? I was having a discussion with somebody, and I can't remember who it was, about, the Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner case that we had went out there on. And we actually spoke to the district attorney. I can't remember her first name. I don't know why. I've got her card around here, but it's something Sloan. Her name's Sloan. And she actually I was sitting out there at the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park when she finally called me back. We were out there taking measurements and stuff like that related to the Brian Laundrie case for a documentary for Olivia. And we were sitting out there at a picnic table when Miss Sloan called me back and decided to speak to me about the thing. You know what she told me? She told me the reason why their case was taking so long and why it felt kind of stale, so to speak, was because they were waiting for the forensics to come back. The forensics were taking the FBI lab in Denver a really, really long time to get that information back. It's because they're busy. I mean, I'm not trying to say that because I'm pointing fingers or saying they did something wrong. But the reality of it is the forensics take a really long time to get back. And it sounds to me like they got the forensics back if they pointed the finger at Adam Pinkowicz, or whatever his name, Pinkowicz gentleman, and he was somebody that was, how should I say, we went out there and he was one of the first new people put on the list. And we actually went to the Grand County Sheriff and spoke to the sheriff specifically about Adam and him possibly being culpable of these two women's double homicide, which was, hindsight's 2020. But looking back, I mean, did we talk about other people? Of course we did. We still kept going. We still kept trying to find what had happened. But I just find it ironic. One of the first people that was brought up to us as a team is now officially the suspect in the crime. I agree with that. And you want to hear something? And somebody else, and it was another video. I wish I should have a piece of paper next to me when I'm watching these videos, because I was watching another video and they said, oh heck, I can't even remember what they said. What did they say? We'll go back to that, but it's right up there with the lawyered up. Guilty equals lawyered up. I'm not the spilling over. So, we've all been looking and trying to figure out, I think it was in the chat room. We were having a discussion about Dawn and Candace and baby Summer, and they were talking about the case, the child case, the confidential case with the boys. If you guys remember, Detective Pruitt actually stated something to the effect of the the children's case is spilling over to the criminal case. And some were speculating, not me, but it did make sense. But some were speculating that the reason why it may have spilled over is because the boys may have actually stated something that's evidence against their parents. And I'm wondering if that could be true. I don't know. I believe, yeah, they got lawyers, but see, it sounds like they've had lawyers this whole time, because if even before that, in December, Candace was bragging about some lawyers, but it was literally like 3 days before Ronnie came out. Candace was on Predators of Predator Nation and was joking about how her attorneys got this. And then Ronnie Lawson came out and said that they lawyered up, and they're like, no, we haven't. And it's like, you were just bragging about having lawyers literally 3 days before Ronnie said this on Predator of Predator Nation. And now you're trying to tell us that no, you don't have lawyers. Like, she was even saying, oh, my attorneys got this. And about the gag order and stuff related to a gag order. So it doesn't make sense. Like, you can't say on one hand you've got an attorney and attorneys they got this crap, and then 2 days later say, oh, but I don't have an attorney, I didn't lawyer up. Well, sounds like you did. Your attorneys obviously stepped up for you. So if you're not lawyered up, maybe you need to tell the lawyers to stand down and let law enforcement do their job and ask you any questions that you have. But that's not the case. Hey, Sherry Ann, nice to see you. Yeah, I know. Mine is too. I don't think they would have buried on the property too many dogs. But you know what? That comes back to that conversation. Do you guys remember Dawn talking about that day and how the day Summer went missing, all the dogs were off the property? Somebody brought this up, and he said that they kind of take off sometimes. I'm wondering if they were with her, wherever she may be. I'm wondering if they followed her and ended up coming back to the house later. Like, if she was put somewhere, why were all the dogs off the property that day? I mean, that's what Don said in an interview, that the dogs ran off. They weren't around that area at that specific date and time. Why is that? Yes, guys, please don't forget to hit the like button. Get those likes up. Where am I? I hate when this thing pops up. Well, I'm sure you don't. And that's your opinion, and you're entitled to that. I just don't understand. I think it's a big deal. I think it's a huge deal. I do. Lawyering up is lawyering up. And not only that, but they've had these lawyers for a really long time. And not only that, but what parent? And I'm asking you directly, what parent doesn't bother calling law enforcement ever to check on the status of their daughter's disappearance? Law enforcement has to call them. I've talked to so many hundreds, if not thousands of people at this point, and not one of them have stated that they would stay home in silence and not be calling law enforcement every day or out there looking for their own daughter or child. So I get it's not a big deal for you, but it's a big deal for me. Behavior when your child goes missing is a huge deal for me. How you act when no one's looking is a big deal for me. think it really depends on the company used for training. Yes, and that's what's been stated a lot is that it is all about the training, how they are properly trained, how they are certified, who their trainers are. Some are trained a heck of a lot better than others, and that's just because humans make mistakes. So do dogs. Anything with a brain is not 100%. They're not computers. They're not robots. Mistakes happen. Yeah, that where they found her, she was about 1,000. I think it's more in line with 1,000 yards, not 1,000 feet, because it was pretty far away from the bank where the van was and where she was located. I think it was more in line with 1,000 yards, not 1,000 feet. It was about 3,000 feet away. So I think it's about 1,000 yards. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I couldn't remember. Yay! Nice to see you guys. Nice to see you. I heard through the grapevine, jury coming back in July. Don't quote me because that is hearsay. So we won't quote you. We'll just throw that out there so people can be on the lookout. We don't know if it's true or false, but hopefully. And actually, I really do think people need to go over and look at JLR. He did a whole thing on grand jury and what it all means and what different types of grand juries there are. I was informed. He taught me something I didn't know. That's what people say. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. There's a lot of factors with that gentleman that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, not only was he verbally assaulting to multiple lesbian couples, he despised. I actually think he should be charged with a hate crime, but he's gone. But also, he committed suicide. We don't know what forensics came back from the suicide, especially if he used the gun. If he used the gun in the same gun that he used, that's pretty much, I just don't believe it. And not only that, he was homeless and walked out of McDonald's shortly after the girls were gone and never returned for his final paycheck. There's a lot of red flags with this guy. A lot of red flags. I don't care what Dog the Bounty Hunter said. There's a lot of red flags with this guy, more so than the initial guy that they detained that worked with Kylen Schulte at the Moonflower. There's a lot more red flags with Adam. Lot more. The only thing that they got this other guy with is that he was acting strange and drove a dark colored car. We don't even know if that dark colored car was even associated with the case. It was just a car that Cindy Sue Hunter thought she saw. And mind you, she was in shock. She was completely, utterly in shock after finding those girls. So I don't know. Exactly. And so that scent may not even have been there if they were on there, let's say the 15th or the 16th. Yeah. I don't think they would have had those dogs out there. I don't know because, TBI and FBI were involved, but I was even told FBI wasn't originally involved. They didn't come in until I want to say a day or two later, or maybe even longer. I'm not even sure about the specificity related to when FBI got involved in this case and the card team came out. Yeah. Good point. Good point. No, it is, but they said that it's spilling over into the Summer Wells investigation, which is pretty telling if you ask me. So if you have an attorney to represent you for your custody issues with your boys, and it's somehow spilling over into a criminal investigation related to your missing daughter, there seems to be a little more that's there that's not being spoken. Seems to be a little more there that's not being spoken. So cadaver, and then of course avalanche water dogs. So we're done with that. So this was pretty interesting that I thought would be that you guys would have some interest in as well. And it's the search dog training. So this says OV. I don't know what the OV, they've got it up here, I'm sure. Oh, okay, Ohio Valley. So Ohio Valley Search and Rescue uses all working breeds of dogs such as Border Collies, German Shepherd, Labradors, and Golden Retrievers. We like to begin training the dogs as young as 12 weeks of age, but older dogs are also considered. Wilderness search dogs must be trained and certified in one of 3 methods: tracking, trailing, air scent, or cadavers. So they must be trained in one of 3 methods, which is, I think that tracking and trailing, or trailing and air scent, kind of go together. I think they all kind of go together except the cadaver, but I guess it's the way that they're changed. Dogs first taught to track or trail may later be trained for air scent. However, dogs first taught to air scent can rarely be taught to track or trail because air scent is the easiest and most natural for the dog. So let's read that again. However, dogs first taught to air scent can rarely be taught to track. So, okay. So they're saying if they're taught in air scent training, they can rarely ever be cross-trained or utilized in tracking or trailing type of training. So these things, it seems to me that they can't be cross-trained, which I think we kind of knew that a little bit, but I would have thought that air scent and trailing would be the same type, but I guess not. Dogs instinctively use their nose to locate things in everyday life. So the real training is to teach them, 1, to locate the lost person or article, and 2, to notify their handler that the subject or article has been found. So it's interesting. And I was going to go through this. I actually printed this off, and I'm going to study it. We may have a part 2, an actual part 2 to this case. Again, we are seeking any information related to the whereabouts of Summer Moon Utah Wells. She went missing June 15th, 2021. At the time, she was 5 years old. She is now 6 years old. At the time she went missing, she was 3 foot tall and 40 pounds, I believe. Yeah, 3 foot tall and 40 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. She was last seen with gray pants and a pink top, according to the Amber Alert. Anybody with information to her whereabouts is asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. If you have credible leads or information, not speculation, please reach out to 1-800-TBI-FIND, or in the alternative, you can reach out to the Hawkins County Sheriff. But when I spoke to them in December, they really wanted all leads and information going into the 1-800-TBI-FIND. As that is manned by TBI as opposed to Hawkins County, where their resources are being stretched very thin. I know in any child cases, they do have the ability. They have to be provided a lawyer if they cannot hire a lawyer themselves. But anyways, getting into this ultimate guide to search and rescue dogs, there were a few things that I found interesting in this article. We all know the dogs are phenomenal animals, ingrained with a wide array of capabilities which help us in our daily lives, from police canines who aid law enforcement officers to service dogs who help an autistic child. Dogs are reliable, valuable assets in a variety of settings. The world of search and rescue is another area where dogs excel. Using their renowned olfactory system, search and rescue dogs are able to locate missing individuals in different environments. The incredible skill helps search and rescue, or the SAR teams across the world to track down missing individuals in the wilderness or in an aftermath of a disaster. Using a well-trained SAR dog, searches can be conducted with precision and have a higher chance of success. So again, it points to the fact that they need to be properly trained. proper training of these dogs is key. Does that mean the dogs in Summer Wells' case weren't properly trained? Absolutely not. That's not what's being implied here. I think what sparked this whole entire conversation was the fact that we don't know. I mean, we know that different dogs were utilized at the Wells property. We don't know when and where or how, or what type of dog supposedly found that trail. Now, what we do know is that it is possible that that trail was days old, or the scent had shifted because of wind and other elements. And maybe the reason why they have been adamant that there is no evidence of an abduction. What is search and rescue? We're going to just discuss that just a little bit. The aim of search and rescue is straightforward: to locate an individual or group who have gone missing or in imminent danger and return them to the place of safety. Some search and rescue personnel or units are responsible for helping to locate deceased individuals and bring closure to the desperate families and help bring justice when heinous acts are committed. These actions are usually performed by trained teams of volunteers. The SAR team may also be able to offer medical assistance such as first aid. In the United States, there are numerous organizations at national, state, and local levels who have the responsibilities of SAR. You may be familiar with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, and National Association of Search and Rescue, which is NASAR. Although these are two more popular groups, there are numerous national organizations that provide training, resources, and certification to these SAR teams. And then when we go to discuss what different SAR teams there are, according to this particular article, their teams are categorized a little differently. So according to this one, there is a wide scope of search and rescue. There are several niches in which teams typically specialize in, depending upon the type of work they do in the areas they service. So depending on the environment and terrain, they have ground, mountain, cave, urban, combat, and maritime type of canines. So I just find all this stuff a little interesting because, again, we keep hearing about this dog, this one dog or couple dogs going down this one trail, but yet law enforcement refuses to say that there's evidence of an abduction. So it's just intriguing to me, if there's so much evidence of a potential abduction, why is law enforcement steadfast in telling the public that there is no evidence of an abduction? I guess is my biggest question related to that. This whole case dynamic confuses me. TBI, LE, parents, subjects, and nothing really done. No pressure on anyone and no arrest. I think a lot of people in here have that same feeling that you do, Mama Bear. They really do. I know I do. I would think that pet dogs would have followed her, even have found her if people watched where they went off in the woods. She was probably the kindest to them. Yes. Good point. Absolutely. Yes. I agree, Bertie. Yeah, absolutely. I think those boys, and you know what? And we're going to have another discussion on a different topic. For all those that are watching right now, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Tomorrow, we are going to be discussing the infamous outfit she was changed into at the waterhole. And it's going to be just a discussion. I want to get your thoughts on it. I want to see what you think. I have a different perspective that has popped into my mind. Obviously, it is just speculative in nature, but we're going to speculate tomorrow. And I want you guys all here, and I want you guys with your cup of joe so you're nice and fully awake. But we're going to go about the same time, about 8:30. We'll be back on. And we will be discussing that outfit that we all just can't believe. Like, why would the pillow, her being wet, her mom saying her mom doesn't like anybody in the car with wet clothes, but Summer was changed into the sweatsuit, where as opposed to Hunter still being in his same clothes. There's just a lot of stuff really doesn't make sense around that. Well, we're going to discuss that tomorrow. So I hope you guys all tune back in tomorrow. Yeah, I get what you mean. And that's what I'm thinking, is at this point, they haven't been arrested this long. And I think that, like with Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner, it took forever for forensics to get back. And you got to think the FBI is really, really busy. They're busy with other stuff, not just missing persons. I mean, they've got, obviously, they may be tracking some fugitives down. I mean, we have this mess of people escaping from jail that we had no idea. 25, well, I've got 178 people here. We have almost 2,500 escapees every year in the United States. It is dumbfounding how many people, the FBI is on there along with the U.S. Marshals. They're looking for these people. You guys should go back and watch yesterday's video. It has alarming statistics in it, information that I can tell you when I looked into, I had no earthly idea about. It was crazy. And they downplay it like, well, it's only 3%. Only 3%. It's only 10.5 people that break out of prison for every 10,000. But they fail to tell you that there's 2.3 million people in the system. That's a lot of freaking people that are walking out of jail that should be locked up, folks. You guys need to go back and watch that video. It's crazy. Hey, B. Betty fan. Yeah, but we've got to sit tight because, even in the West case, those parents, there's a lot of similarities, guys. If you guys watch the West parents, there's a lot of similarities in their behaviors that match with the behaviors of Don and Candace Wells. It's almost uncanny. It really is. Good morning, ZZT. I missed your question the other day, and I apologize about that. I'm here late. Sending love. Oh, that's sweet. There are so very many trackers, especially in Florida. I had the pleasure of having a neighbor who trained canine units all over the country. Nice. And I would assume, did he tell you anything related to the training of dogs, ZZ? I mean, was it... what am I trying to ask here? Oh, live with Demetrius. Thank you. Thank you, Love Bug. It's very sweet. Did he ever explain, because there's so many different trainings all over the country, and it does really, if dogs really depend, if their success depends on their training, obviously there's better trainers than not. So how do we know where we want trained dogs to come from? Do you think Summer Wells will ever get justice? Yes, I do. I truly believe in my heart. I really, really, there's just something in me that just, I trust as much as I don't know how to, I believe in the justice system. If I didn't believe in the justice system for a really long time, I mean, anybody that knows anything about me and my childhood, which barely any of you guys do, I mean, outside of what I've told you, I have always loved law. I have always excelled in law, even when I was in middle school and we studied the law in middle school. When I got into high school and had it more of a detailed, I always loved the law. I always believed in the law. There are some things that have happened in the country over the last 2 years that really questioned, what my process was on it. But we are finding out a lot of things were unconstitutional. And it does make me believe in our laws, the laws of this country. And I do believe it will be a matter of time, but I do believe she will get justice. I do. And the wheels of justice just turn slow. They just turn slow. There's so much stuff we don't see. Investigators, I get frustrated because, other states would have arrested these parents on the low hanging fruit, which we have discussed on this channel multiple times. The low hanging fruit being the child endangerment, child neglect, child welfare issues that they could be charged with just to get them sitting behind bars. Because what I have found in a lot of areas, I mean, you watch a lot of cases, parents are most likely willing to sing like a bird after they've been behind bars for a few days or a few weeks. They're a little more inclined to say, oh crap, this is happening. I need to make a deal for myself. I need to figure out how to lessen these charges. And they start talking. When they're in the comfort of their home and on their turf talking to law enforcement, it has a different effect on these people than sitting in law enforcement's turf under law enforcement's watch. It's a whole different mindset when you have a person on your turf when you're interrogating them or questioning or applying pressure. Much different than when they're sitting in the comfort of their living room having an officer, giving them the stink eye. It's much different. They're still in the comfort of their home. When you change that comfort zone, it kind of has a way of making it seem real. Just in my opinion. Ah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I did not know that. Joanne, you made me laugh. Yeah. Yeah, let's get the likes up, folks. Get them up. If you guys love this channel, we do talk about a wide variety of stuff. And I know we go on tangents and things of that nature and we speculate, and that's okay. We're allowed to. We're allowed to speculate. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's trying to get them, this is one thing I can say. When we sat down with the state attorney's office and we had the assistant district attorney meet with us, and she sat down with us for, golly, I can't even remember who was all there. I don't even know if Justice for All was there at that time. I can't remember. But she sat down with us for like literally an hour or an hour and a half and talked to us and listened to our our concerns. When we left there, she reassured us that when time comes, there will be all charges will be on the table. Even if, or not even if, when Don and Candace have to deal with the children, she assured us that all chargeable crimes would be levied upon them. So even that aspect of it, even this child court aspect of it, I will predict that there's going to be charges coming from those boys, whether it's child neglect, child abuse, child endangerment. There's going to be some charges. To what extent, I have no idea. But the state attorney reassured us that when the time comes, all charges will be levied. Yeah. And people, there's a lot of stuff, and I'll go into this in a little bit. Actually, let me write it down so I don't forget to talk about it. But the boys, because we don't know if the boys made a statement. We can assume that at this point in the game that they have spoken with law enforcement multiple times. The reason why I say that is because I believe an original statement had to have been received from them. And as law enforcement investigated, they would have had additional follow-up questions for the boys. And, every time we watch any kind of interview, at least all the interviews I've seen so far with Don and Candace, it seems like they've always pointed the finger at the boys. If you notice, they never take responsibility, personal responsibility for anything. If Summer's left outside, boys, why'd you leave Summer outside? If anything happened, like with Summer being in the house, the boys told her that she was in the basement. The boys were supposed to watch her. The boys were supposed to do this. The boys were supposed to do that. Did the boys know that she was down there to begin with? We don't know. How could that have been changed? And I've got an idea about that as well. Now, is this speculative? Of course, it's speculative. And it's my opinion that this could have happened. Am I saying that this is my position? No, it's not. It's just throwing something out there and seeing what your thoughts are on it. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, and that's, I know you had some experience in this and you were just talking to us about this the other day. And I'm very curious about a few aspects of it, but I need to kind of get my head around what transpired. We know that, or at least we were told, we don't know anything about this case. You know what we know? We know what other people have said. And are those the most reliable people? I mean, there are some things that I absolutely believe 100% hands down. There are other things that have been said that needed extra corroborating, but have panned out so far to be true. There are some things that are out there that could not be corroborated and absolutely, to me, feel like it just doesn't make sense and probably isn't 100% accurate. Just saying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, my understanding of this process is that when you have children that have traumatic events, such as the loss of a sister or, um, years of abuse, they have to go through, and typically they will ask them what happened. And I think that they probably did. But my understanding is that the parents, now I don't know if this is 100% true. I could not corroborate this, but I heard Don and Candace would not allow those boys to talk to law enforcement when Summer went missing. I just heard that through the grapevine. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. I don't. I'm curious is if other people have heard that or if other people have information to corroborate that as fact versus, speculative. Yeah. Because this is the issue. Because if they were not allowed to talk while Don and Candace, you know, were the made the parental decision for these boys, then it would have had to wait until those boys were in custody. They probably went there and asked them some questions. They had to determine whether those boys were suffering from, some kind of stresses, trauma. And if they were, they probably had to go to counseling. And they probably went to a forensic counselor, somebody that specialized in adolescents, in children. Even the younger, which one was the younger one? Wyland or Waylon, Wyatt or Waylon. I can't remember who was above Summer, but they may have had to have a different type of uh, counselor. So they may be working with them and working with this counselor. Law enforcement may be working with this counselor to help them try to find out what happened that day. A lot of people that go have traumatic events sometimes aren't asked immediately about that. I'm sure they would have wanted to ask those kids immediately as to what had happened. But if the parents told them, no, you can't question these kids, they've been through enough, that would have held off. And those kids were not taken out of that home for a month, almost a month after her disappearance. So what did they go through in that house for that month? Were they blamed the entire time they were in that house that they were responsible for their little sister's disappearance? I mean, we don't know. We do know that Don and Candace are not the people that we saw on YouTube. They were the nasty people we saw on some YouTube channels where they were going off and calling people N-words and being very derogatory for people just curious about what happened that day on June 15th. I also wanted to show a couple of things. So, how search and rescue dogs work. It may seem like dogs obsessively focus on play would make poor work dogs, but for search and rescue work, it's actually the ideal trait. A dog that will chase a tennis ball for hours would probably walk through feet of snow, over a mountain, and down a rocky embankment until its paws were bleeding to find it. And it gets someone to throw it again for them. Or SAR dogs locating the origin of human scent would mean a game of find the ball. This is the basis of SAR training, associating human scent with something that the dog wants very badly. So just a little bit of tidbits. There's a lot of articles. I'm keeping these up. I'm going to put all these articles in the description once we're done this morning. So if you guys want to do further research or would like to see, read the entire articles, you have the ability to do so. Wow. I'm curious if that's true, Beverly. Maybe Yoda, nice to see you. Yeah, I got to go back. So much as think about it. We're almost a year into this. There's a lot of stuff that we covered, months ago that is out of sight, out of mind. And that's why I think it's so important that we go back to the beginning and review all this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff, even me, I have personally forgot about this information right here. And it just makes makes it a little bit bigger, when you put it into, now that we're a year later, the stuff that we had back in August, and then everything from August to now may have changed that August statement. That might be a very important statement to look at, because now we're full circle and stuff back there can explain stuff that's happening now. I don't know. But I think it's important that we all go back to the beginning and work our way up. But it's funny, when doing so, we hear some of the same arguments that were brought up that have been debunked or disputed from way back then, because we forgot. Yeah, here's some information from Mama Bear. Over the age of 3, they have got to get a psych eval done. I can guarantee the boys have been spoken to since in care. And yes, all kids that came in have to get an eval for all therapy services. And that's in Texas, she says. That's in Texas. Dream big. Nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. This is about the dogs. Usually they are trained from 6 weeks up without a lot of human contact. Only the handler can handle the dog. They are trained in many skills. Thank you. Thank you, DCO. It's good information. Building search techniques. This is an interesting one. Conducting building searches with police dogs can be one of the most dangerous aspects of working as a police canine handler. Employing some specific building search techniques will allow you to have more control over the situation. You can conduct searches more safely and more effectively. Traditionally, police dogs have searched buildings for specs off leash regarding the size or type of building. Search buildings off leash has some serious disadvantages. So this is relating to building techniques. The reason why I brought this up is because I'm sure that there were some searches conducted on the vehicles, in the house, potentially other little, the outbuildings that are out there, maybe some of the drums and storage containers that were littered all over that property were probably searched. But again, canine, there's a lot of different techniques used related to dogs that I don't think many of us realized. I certainly did not. So again, it brought up a great topic of discussion. The 5 phases of search dog training, how to train a tracking dog. And we're just going to go over to the phases. We're not going to discuss them too much unless something interesting pops up. So the introduction of short search, more complex searches. Let's look at During the initial phase of searches, the search and rescue dog training, the tracking dog is typically placed in a rescue dog harness with 20 to 30 feet lead. This will help the dog understand that when the gear goes on, it's time to work. Training will begin with the dropping of a scent article, a training bag, and a creation of a scent path. A scent article is an item that has only been touched by the search subject and can be used for tracking and training. More complex searches. This is small, so we'll just read this. Phase 2 of this type of search dog training continues. Short search exercise with the use of scent articles, scent pad, and few treats around 5 to 10 steps. But now the length of searches is increased during this phase, beginning to add more variety to location, terrain, and keeping the search in a straight line. Introduction of larger, more difficult searches. We're not going to go through that. The use of unknown search subjects. So phase 4 of the training. At this point, the tracking dog should be able to find a search subject on various terrains with the use of scent articles and scent pads to increase their skills. This is the point at which an unknown subject, a search subject, is typically introduced. So it's around phase 4 of the training. At this phase, your dog should no longer require treats to track successfully. So it's around phase 4 that these should be fairly well-trained dogs. Let's see. So phase 5, use of search subject with distractions. So they introduce actual distractions to try to detour the dog off the scent to make sure that the dog stays on the scent. So, and then I just got a couple of videos we're just going to play here for you guys.
Ready to go work? Check. It might be a little wet outside. Go fine. But for this group, the training must go on. And today's trainees.
Raven is a black lab. She's 22 months old. I've had her since she was 9 weeks old.
Thomas, a golden retriever. She's 11 years old. She's been working since she was 8 weeks old. So the first thing we're going to do is lay a trail. And why don't we go across the pedestrian bridge here and go into the housing area.
If you haven't guessed, this group of volunteers are part of the San Diego County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Canine Unit.
The canine unit provides their own dog. They're responsible for taking care of their dog, and we train the dogs to do this. There's quite an extensive certification process before a dog has a badge and can go out on a mission.
Today, they're training in an urban environment.
We had a tracking problem, and we had an area problem.
A tracking exercise consists of a volunteer walking a route that a tracking dog will have to sniff out to find them.
Sometimes we don't mark them. In this case, it was marked, and then I introduce a scent article to her from the last spot where she was seen. I tell her to go find, and she trails that specific scent to the subject, and when she finds them, she gets the reward.
Yay, good girl. Good job, Raven. Good girl. That's a good dog. And an area search puts the four-legged tracker to the test, searching a wide area for a human scent.
The first thing is we give her the command to go look for the person.
Oh, fine.
Every handler has their own phrase, but that's the on switch for Karma.
Thomas, check over here.
One wilderness area that would take an hour and a half for 3 searchers, she can clear in about 10 minutes.
The canine unit trains about every weekend to keep their sniffing and searching skills in shape.
Well, the success. Yeah, I mean, good training. I mean, you know, sometimes it's tough. You think she's on scent, and whether the scent got blown down or she just missed it, it's hard to say.
For a dog, the positive reinforcement is what makes for a successful search dog.
I want to go back to that just a second. I want you guys to hear that again.
Sometimes it's tough. You think she's on scent, and whether the scent got blown down or she just missed it.
Got blown down. Remember, we just discussed the possibility of scents moving and dogs being on track for a scent, and it has moved. So it is potential. There is potential there that track that they followed could have been blown.
But it's hard to say.
For a dog, the positive reinforcement is what makes for a successful search dog.
This is my volunteer job, but I have a real passion for it, and I can hardly wait till it's the only thing I can focus on.
This is just something I enjoy doing, and I've wanted to find something that I could help out volunteer-wise, and I came across this and loved it ever since.
And if you ever need search and rescue,
Don't hesitate to call. There's no cost to the individual for us to come out and help. And again, not only canines, but we have a whole team, search and rescue, ready to deploy and help somebody if they need us.
good job. Good job. That's a good girl. That's a good girl.
So just a little more insight, on the tracking. So there are some variables that can go into why a dog can't track appropriately. And there's a lot of places where they tracked and they found these people. But, again, we're looking at the Laundrie case. We're looking at a lot of different cases. The inmate that escaped from Texas that gunned down 5 innocent people, the grandfather and 4 of the grandchildren. Those dogs could not find, the subject. Oh, you shouldn't be. I can see you, Sweet Pineapple. You've been on here a few times. We've seen you, I think, even yesterday. And then we're going to go to a different video.
This might look like a typical dog obedience class, but these dogs are training for a very important job, to search and rescue.
I find that there's not enough out there, and it's partly my job to help people to train these dogs to go out there for the missing person, for the family of the missing people.
Marianne has come in from Alberta, where she runs a search dog training school. She's a very well-known and knowledgeable resource, and we have members from around the province here training.
I've been a search manager for about 20 plus years up in the Chaco Valley, and one of the issues that always comes up is the search dogs that help on searches. And as a search manager, I thought I really need to know more about how the dogs work and what they do and what they're capable of and what their limitations might be.
I thought it was necessary to come out here and help provide some training to people that are interested in the search and rescue dog field. Not that I know it all by any means, but I do have vast experience in the dog training field, from obedience, tracking, and search and rescue, which I volunteer for. And I basically like to communicate that and put more search dogs out there for the missing person.
With training, dogs become extremely valuable members to a search and rescue team.
They will send for people, for objects that relate to the people. It's a great way to turn a dog and a handler loose in an area to look after one area, but we can have searchers looking in another area.
Dogs can cover a large area in a smaller amount of time than several people can. Dogs are as valuable as well as the training is. So, I mean, you have to put a lot of time.
Again, it comes back to the training of these dogs. I think we're well versed now that training of these dogs, and there are variables that can change, making sometimes searching for somebody next to impossible.
Time in training a dog is not simply taking the dog off the couch and putting them out in the field, and the handlers need training as well.
Handlers learn training techniques they can continue to practice to improve their dog's search and rescue skills.
I came in wanting to challenge some of the dogs and to see where their training was at, and then try to make some suggestions on where to go with their dogs. And we worked on some of the alerts to strengthen the alerts up, as well as seeing where they're at with looking for missing objects, which are scent related, as well as looking for the missing person.
The training also included working up close with some of the other dogs and strangers.
We did some transportation type test, even though it was in a stationary vehicle. We never know when we're going to be transported in with another dog. And we need to have our dogs understand that when we put you in this situation, you need to relax and remain calm and just wait, because we're going to get there and you're going to get out and do your thing.
I've definitely learned quite a few things already that I hadn't really thought of as to how they work and, you know, where they're going to be effective and where they're not.
It's nice to see a whole bunch of dogs and to
where they're going to be effective and where they're not. I mean, these still, you know, I just want the whole purpose of this live right now is to make you guys more aware that there are limitations and variables that go into not only training a dog, but how effective dogs are out there in the field.
to see how they differ in their training, in their abilities, and their specializations.
Without them, time may go by where your missing person is it takes a while to locate them. So support your local SAR dog team, support your local ground SAR team, or any other search and rescue team that's out there. And it makes for better communities and safer communities.
And I think that's the sentiment for everybody. You know, we want safer communities, and the dogs do provide definitely a value, and they are effective in some cases, but they're not 100% effective. So could this explain that scent down that jog trail for Summer Wells? It could very well. It could be that a scent moved. It could be just as simple as that. The air from the time she disappeared to the time these dogs were deployed on that property, that scent could have moved from one area to another area. And then we got one more video, and that's going to be it. And then we're going to take some phone calls and see what you guys think.
This is Maui. She's 7.5.
Yep, that's man's best friend right there. Nothing beats the bond between a dog and its owner, even more so in search and rescue.
We work together, we depend on each other, we share information, and it's just a wonderful thing to do.
Air scent, cadaver, water, and avalanche, these dogs do it all. Training starts as a pup and continues for the rest of their careers.
It's optimal to train at least 4 times a week and do all sorts of extra little things with them over the course of their first year, like agility and hiding articles, just stuff to make them know that this is their life.
And training is not just important for the dog, it's also important for the handler. Their goal is to find a new challenge every day.
The weather throws a curveball, or things go different, and a lesson learned is always something you want to work.
Let's listen to that again. Let's listen to that again.
Things go different, and a lesson learned is always something you...
Oh, it didn't go back far enough. Hold on.
And training is not just important for the dog, it's also important for the handler. Their goal is to find a new challenge every day.
The weather throws a curveball.
The weather throws a curveball. This is the point I'm trying to make, is that there are variables. Just because a dog caught a scent that went down a trail doesn't mean that that's the trail that Summer could have gone down, because weather on these scent dogs is the variable. And for example, if somebody went missing 4 hours from the time that they were reported, that air could have moved quite a ways away from where that scent truly was.
Or things go different, and a lesson learned is always something you want to walk away with.
She's getting all worried. They get very tense when they start to work. Very tense.
It's not easy to find a victim, so they start the puppies off with the simple stuff.
They learn to trail, follow where the person walked for the first year or so, and then they can either continue to certify that dog in trailing or switch to air scent.
So this is what they call a runaway. I'm waiting here for Court to come get me, and when she does, we give her a big reward, so when she does find victims later on, she's ready.
They sniff the article of clothing and off they go. Once they find who they're looking for, it's time to get those treats ready.
Good boy. All dogs, they love praise. Some handlers use some food, to encourage them on. My dogs are just very into toys, but really after a while, they just want to be working with you.
Now, training for air scent, excuse the pun, is a bit rough. The scent of the subject comes off of them in a triangle, and depending on the wind and the weather, the dogs will sometimes have to migrate up in elevation before they can begin to pinpoint the smell.
And obviously, the scent closer to you is stronger than the scent farther away from you. And that's a really important concept because the dogs have to learn over the course of their training to go from lesser scent to stronger scent.
And it's tough to teach. It can take up to 2 to 3 years to get a dog certified, but after that, it's game on.
Say, your car's here, I drop you over there, you lay a trail here, get in your car, drive a quarter mile, park the car, and take off in the woods for another quarter mile. They love problems like that.
But let's not forget what this training is for. These dogs and their handlers are able to save lives.
I don't even necessarily need to have them come back and say thank you. Just to know is very gratifying that we were able to take part in helping somebody in need.
You saved me. You got me hot. It's a reward better than any Frisbee, ball, or even a milk bone.
Nothing beats it. It's the best feeling in the world. Dog knows it too.
So there you guys have it. There's the information I was able to. Let me get over here. Where am I?
If you're struggling to lose weight, you must see this.
There we go. I'm trying to get this thing. There we go. Sorry about that. So there's the information that I have related to the dogs. You know, I hope it's clarified some things for the audience related to the dogs. Dogs are utilized. The people that train these dogs, it's a labor of love for them. They do it out of the kindness of their heart. We watched 2 videos where the majority of these people were volunteers. They're training these dogs literally because they love what they do. They want to help in missing person cases and in other types of cases. They train, they go out there, and as they said, this training never stops. It's not like these dogs are trained and that's it. They're certified. This is a training that goes on for the life of that dog until they're retired. So if somebody has live with Demetrius's URL, if you guys want to put it down here, you guys are more than welcome to put it down here. Thank you for coming, Demetrius. I do appreciate it. But again, this is all this conversation was about. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone line, see what your thoughts are related to this information, right? This is a lot of information that we've covered. You know, we're seeking justice for Summer Wells. Again, if you have any information to her whereabouts, you are asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. We try our hardest to make this a drama-free zone to our members and our subscribers. It's a work in progress in some cases. So just happy that you guys are all here. Happy you guys are all participating. And again, there's the number if you have any information to the whereabouts of Summer Wells. If you guys would like to call in and provide, hold on, I'm getting the phone up now. If you guys would like to call in and provide your insight on what you learned today related to the Summer Wells case, let me turn it on. Okay, it looks like it's on now. So call in. Interested in your perspective on this. Did you guys learn something? Is this interesting? Did you even know that there was that many different types of search dogs? Mallory, it's nice to see you. Just walked in, didn't hear the dog. Oh, you'll have to go be part of the replay team, April. Sorry about that, but we are up. So if anybody would like, we've got about 17 minutes before we are going to close this live down, about 16 minutes rather, before we're going to close this live down, and just curious on your thoughts. Let's see if I find anything else in here that was interesting, because I went ahead and printed out this, the ultimate guide to search and rescue. And again, I'm going to cut and paste when we're done with this live. I'm going to cut and paste all these resources in. Here we go, in with the conversation, or so you guys can look at them. This is Betty. How can I help you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Hi, Andrea. I'm good. My name's Tanya, but my friends call me Bitchy.
Well, welcome.
Thanks. Hey, now your dog expo this morning was really great. I loved it.
Oh, good.
But I have a thing that I was driving in my car yesterday. I'm thinking about Summer's picture with the milk.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I just want to say a little something about that. Okay, so the thing is that Dawn drank milk all day long at work, supposedly, from what we've heard. Now, Summer's leaning on 2 gallons of milk in the truck. So is that Dawn's milk that she was taking to, or that Candace was taking to Dawn with Summer? That's my question. That's my thought in my head from yesterday driving in my car. I'm like, that milk picture is just too strange.
Yeah.
Whether it was taken that day or another day, it really doesn't matter. The nail beds and the ear and the leaning on milk itself. Like you said, I saw your video where other people have taken those pictures with their kids, and it's just very uncomfortable for them.
Yes.
I've leaned in my car, not necessarily on milk stuff. I'm a small little person.
Yeah.
And I got in my back seat, and I'm like, this is just not. And the way she had her hands and the way just the thing. So the milk is my key to saying she's taking that to Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn's a milk drinker. Gallons of milk every day, supposedly, from Dudley. That's all. That was my connection in my head, was about that picture. But the dog stuff is awesome. I work with, I actually train dogs, not for search and rescue, but I do dog training here. I have for many years for many of my friends and stuff. I actually have a dog I'm working with right now.
Obedience training, normal run-of-the-mill obedience training, correct?
Right. House dogs, yeah, yeah. Just regular kind of stuff. Yeah, and the dogs I've trained, I still keep in touch with all their owners and everything. I love my dogs. They're all mine, of course. Well, that was what I was thinking about yesterday. I don't know, because the grocery thing, there was only this and that for groceries, and then there was a bunch of groceries.
Yeah.
Now, her in the car with the milk and Dawn drinking milk all day, it just kind of clicked to me. Maybe that might be part of the, who took the picture? I see your chat. Who took the picture? We don't know that either.
Yeah, well, I can tell you there was a lot of speculation that wasn't Grandis's voice, but I've listened to that voice. I've listened to her voice on WJHL, and it does sound like it was Grandis that had the phone. And Candace explained it that she was supposed to take a photo, but accidentally hit the video, and so you have this video. And there was a couple different photos of where her hand was positioned that have been released, just slightly, like an inch or two different, like one way or the other. It is a question.
Go ahead.
It is a question. We don't know. We know when the video was posted, but we don't know when the video was taken.
When it was taken. Also, the thing about her in that hoodie, if you notice, the hoodie is pulled all the way to the other side. Like when somebody put her in a car and they pull their arm out from behind her, the hood may have gone with their arm. The hoodie is pulled away from her, the back of her, which kind of, to me, said somebody put her there. You know what I mean? And pulled their arm out from behind her and pulled the hoodie with their arm, so to speak. So that picture still just blows my mind. This whole thing blows my mind. And, there are many, many missing children out there. But we don't get the same lies and deceit and stories, and the whole rigmarole around this thing is just insane.
Well, it's because it's left to our own devices. So everybody, when we don't have the information or enough information, then we're left to our own brains to try to process, and everybody processes the information differently.
Correct. I agree with that totally, 100%. And we come up with a million different scenarios that may have happened to this poor little girl. Yeah. It's just so sad that everybody around her is just pulling the rug out from under us, finding her and helping this family. I mean, they've lost everything. when they lost her. They've lost everything.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
prayers for Summer. I still hope we find her, and I think that the vigil is an awesome thing that you're doing.
Yep.
Kudos to you guys.
There's a lot of volunteers. There's a lot of people that have come together for this event, and very blessed that it is progressing the way it is.
Yep, I agree. I think it's a wonderful thing that you guys are going to do for her. It's awesome. So that's all. I just, I love your dog segment. I didn't mean that to change the subject on you or anything.
No worries.
But yeah, that picture just still bothers a lot of us, I guess.
It does, and we're
picture,
actually going to be covering a little more of that tomorrow in the tomorrow segment.
Okay.
And so if you want to come back, I've already got the thumbnail ready. I've already actually had that because the statement will be, are we asking the right questions around that outfit? And we're going to be taking a deep dive into that. And I'm going to throw out a different perspective and see what people think. So yeah, so we're actually going to be talking about that tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I'll be watching.
All right, love.
I hardly ever comment. I think I've commented once on your chat, but I watch all the time.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, call back in anytime. Yeah. Call back in anytime. We love hearing people's perspective. We love hearing people's opinions. And yeah.
I appreciate that. And yeah, have a great day and keep on keeping on, hey?
You got it. Take care.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. So that's a little bit of information. And for those that are watching, don't forget to go out there and hit a thumbs up. It's free to tell me thank you. There is a lot that went into this morning, a lot of research, bringing the information to you guys. But I thought it was really important because we're hearing so much stuff about the dogs and about the scent. And I think it causes a lot of confusion. If these dogs picked up this scent, wouldn't that imply at least one of two things, an abduction theory or a wandering off theory? And they have not ever come forward with those. They have absolutely told us no evidence of an abduction whatsoever. Two different types of abduction. One, that's a stranger danger type of an abduction, and two, that's a targeted type of abduction. Those have no evidence. Nothing holds water with those theories. The other one is the foul play and the real possibility of her walking off, or wandering off rather. And many have said she had no shoes on. That terrain in that area is horrible. It would make it very difficult and you got to remember, the pads on children's feet are not calloused like adults. So it would hurt a child's feet a heck of a lot more, in my opinion, to be going over, branches, rocks, mountainous terrain, and things of that nature. Never mind the fact of those briar or whatever things, the vines that grow all over the ground that have nothing but thorns in them. When we were searching, when I was following Reverend Donna's map, I got, some of those were taller than me. Some of those plants that cover the grounds that have the thorns on them were growing up and taller than me and smacking me in the face, getting in my eye, scratching, it was just really, really bad. So that type of stuff is everywhere out there. And you're talking about a child with no shoes on, wandering in there. But then it comes back, even if she did wander off, is it possible that those dogs missed her? It is. It is. It's very possible. It's also possible that scent that they were so adamant went down a specific trail could have been explained by just the air moving from the time she was there to the time she was called in. There's a lot of variables with these dogs, and a lot of things that can prevent these dogs from doing a great job at no fault of their own. So, hello.
Hi, Miss Betty. How are you? This is April C. from Florida.
Hey, April. How are you?
Good. It's good to hear you. Okay, it hit me. After church on Sunday, I came home and I was watching JRL's video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And he shows a picture of some really tall flowers in a blue bin.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about how Candace went back and got those flowers. Well, remember how I told you those fingernails have always bothered me from day one?
Yeah.
and that how when you take a child swimming, your nails are clean even if you swim in dirty water.
Yep.
And it's just always bothered me that her nails were dirty. I told you this. Okay, well, it hits me. Okay, they did the first TikTok in that video when they went the first time the grandma was in the hospital. Remember on June 4th? Wasn't it 4th or the 5th? Wasn't it the 4th? I don't have my notes right here. Wasn't it the 4th?
What was the question? I'm sorry, I read something and it just distracted me. What did you say? What was the question about the 4th or the 5th?
Which one did those messages between Candace and Hunter come out on? Remember that they had seen each other?
I can't be clear. The only ones I know about is the ones on the 15th. I believe that there was a conversation at another time, but they communicated.
They actually came out, and I'll send it to you. I'll find it. I'll send it to you. No, they actually came out. There was more conversations. There was like 2 more that he had released, and it was on his phone. And I believe it was the 4th, but without my notes, I'm going to say I can't remember.
Okay.
Okay. I think that that's the day that they went swimming. I think that's the day that she recorded the TikTok. I think on the 15th is when they went back and stole the flowers. I think Hunter took a phone call on the path, and Candace and Summer are the ones who dug up those flowers that were gone in the Chris M interview that Candace has said, oh, yeah, well, they must have died. No, they didn't die, Candace. She went and dug them up. Remember, she said something about how digging up state flowers is against the law.
Yeah,
and
she told Brandis that.
I thought it was odd at the time, but I really dismissed it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought it was odd, but now it's starting to fall into place. Okay, it's a new timeline. It's starting to fall into place. With Don at the bottom of his driveway on the 15th, them going to get those flowers on the 15th, them telling law enforcement they planted flowers on the 15th. It's all starting to come into place. So I was like, where have I heard this pattern before, though, about how they had searched land, air, and sea, and they had searched closed caption TV, and they had searched all these places, and they couldn't find a body, and they needed information, and they had nothing to go on. I was like, where have I heard this pattern before? And then it dawned on me after I watched JRL's video. It was the Chloe Smith case. They had nothing left to go on. They could not find little Chloe Smith. So what they did is they dumped a cell phone tower. Okay. Now, he was in a rural area. There wasn't that much data. Okay. You couldn't dump the whole city of Kingsport. Okay. It wouldn't work like that.
Right.
You couldn't do it. But what you can do, I figured it out. I figured it out. What you can do is you can get a warrant, okay, for that Warrior State Park cell phone tower. And you get a warrant on that tower for 2 different dates. And I'll go back through my notes and I'll send you proof. It's like the 4th or the 5th. And then I'm positive, though, I think it's the 4th. And then you get a warrant for the 15th, 2 different dates. You compare those 2 phone number lists, which are going to be relatively small because you're only at the cell phone tower around Warriors Park. And the 2 numbers that match are going to be the burner phone that Hunter used that day at Warriors Pass.
I'm pretty sure that they said they pulled all the.
I'm stuck on Hunter, but let me be fair. Let me be fair, okay? For all the other people out there, let me be fair. Or Candace used, I think it was Hunter. Okay, that's personal opinion. Okay, but Candace used at that park to do Summer's transportation. Okay, now is it possible that more than one people was at that park on those 2 days? Absolutely, it's possible.
Yeah.
But you know what? Your list is going to be tiny, and those other people are going to have profiles, and you're going to be able to verify those other people very quickly.
Yeah.
And you can find the burner phone, and as long as you find the number to the burner phone, that's how they found little Chloe Smith.
Yeah.
They pulled that phone number out of thin air, and that's how they found little Chloe Smith, and that's how we can find Summer Little.
Yeah, but they did say multiple times that they did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we pull records? No, law enforcement's going to have to do that. Of course, we can't pull records, but there is a way to find Summer Little.
Yeah,
and if I figured that out, law enforcement figured that out.
Yeah, they've said multiple times. Hold on, let me stop you there. They said multiple times that they pulled the digital the digital evidence. So I believe that they have it. And I also believe that they've went back to Walmart and other places where they bought burner phones. And as long as they have the MIC number on it, they can track that phone pretty well as if it wasn't a burner phone, whether they have that, whether the account holder is Mickey Mouse. If they can prove that, hey, we saw, because and we talked about the cameras at Walmart, they can literally follow somebody in a store all the way to checkout and be able to find their specific receipt at that specific time and know exactly what was purchased.
I'm not so sure they bought it at Walmart. And you know what? Doing it that way, jumping the cell phone data, it doesn't matter where the heck they bought it at. That phone is getting found.
Gotcha.
It doesn't matter where they bought it at. They used it at that park. There's too many instances where they're at that park. Hunter is on that phone. Candace says he's on that phone. He is taking a phone call on the path. There's just too many consistencies where they're.
Well, they have Hunter's phone. They had Hunter's phone. They've had it in their custody.
They've never returned it to this day.
Exactly.
They've never returned it.
Exactly. So they have all that IMEI number. Yep, that's it, Alicia. Thank you for that. So, all right. Well, we're at the top of our 2 hours, so I am going to wrap it up. Thank you, April, for the insight.
You have a great day, Miss Bailey. I'll talk to you later.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So, folks, there you have it. I wish I would have left a little more time for a little more call-ins, and I apologize about that. We will be back here again tomorrow. We're going to be discussing Summer Wells' outfit, the supposed final outfit change, and we're going to discuss that in detail and see what your perspective is. We are going to open the phones up for about 45 minutes tomorrow because I know people are going to have their own thoughts and own input as to this wardrobe change or what they think it means. But I'm going to throw out a different perspective. Are we asking the right questions about that outfit? So guys, come back tomorrow. I love each and every one of you. God bless you. Do not forget to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And in the morning when you're coming in, don't forget it. That's what helps us thrive on the streets of YouTube. So thank you guys so much. God bless each and every one of you. Go make it a great Monday. We are going to kick the manic out of Monday, and we're just going to have a rocking day. Guys, God bless you. Peace. And don't forget to be fearless, folks.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.